Welcome to today's Daily Fire. Today's topic is this: it's okay to not be okay. Sit back and relax, and welcome to today's show. There were years and years that I was not okay, not even kind of okay, like on the verge of uh, suicidal thoughts, like just uh, massive depression. I didn't ever want to get out of bed. Like there was so many things that I was struggling with. But there is the way the world is operates. It's like it's not okay to not be okay. Like people don't want to deal with it. There becomes a point, and I remember starting to feel this after the death of my first son, and I remember starting to feel people kind of being over it. They didn't want to deal with me being moody or having problems or feeling like crap or feeling sorry for myself or whatever it is. And so I had to start, and I remember doing this. I remember consciously choosing that people are done with me. I need to just be okay. The problem was I wasn't okay, right? But I had to pretend to be okay. And so I would go out in social settings. I would go out and deal with people. I would go talk to people. And guess what? I was okay. So I'd put a smile on. I would pretend like nothing was bothering me, right? And my not okayness was so intense that I would be just numb to life, right? And I went to any form of way of making me not feel. I was like, how do I just not feel? Because the world doesn't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear that I'm not okay. So I've got to be okay. And then what was even worse is I started making myself wrong. I started making myself like that there was something wrong with me. I was the problem because I wasn't okay. And based on what everyone's telling me, I should be okay, right? Quote unquote, enough time had passed and I should be okay now. I should be fine. I should be moving on. I should be doing all these things. And I was not a very strong person at the time. I didn't know how to speak my voice at the time. And it took me a lot of years to finally be able to be vulnerable and be real and be authentic with how I actually felt. That I wasn't okay. And that, today I'm not okay, but tomorrow I probably will be okay. There was a post, a video. I picked up my camera. It was on my son's his birthday. I think he would have been 16 at the time when I shot this video. But I just pulled the camera up and I just started filming about how I'm just not strong today. Like I'm just not okay. Like I'm just not okay, I'm okay. I'm like strong most days, but today I'm not. Today I just wasn't strong, and I remember filming it, and the video got shared literally hundreds of thousands of times, and the outpouring of support from people was absolutely just staggeringly odd to me because I had this story and this narrative running that it wasn't okay to not be okay, and so I had to pretend to be okay, and I would show up that way. But when I actually was real and vulnerable, it blew my mind how many people said, "Oh my gosh, that's me." Like I feel like I can't be honest. I can't be vulnerable because people don't want to hear it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want. And so I just lock it up and I lock it away. And that's what I had done. I basically locked it up in a little box and dug it, pushed it deep down inside my actual feelings because nobody wanted to hear them. And it wasn't like I could just go hide because I had life. I had to live life. I had a surviving son. I had a son, Micah's older brother, right? So I had him, and he was there, and I was married, and that marriage didn't last, right? Through tragedy, there's usually one of two things happens: you either draw closer together, or further apart. Unfortunately, my ex-wife and I, we drew further apart. She's a great person, and she's doing her thing, doing her life now, and that was a lot of years ago. But this idea, and I just wanted to talk about it because I know you guys who are dealing with loss, you guys are dealing with especially the loss of a child. There's going to be a lot of days that you're not okay. There's a lot of days that you're not okay. I went to therapists and counselors and all these different places. And one of the things, side note, that drove me nuts about every single therapist I ever went to, none of them had buried a child. Not a single one. None of them. And so all the things they're telling me to do to be okay, it was theory. They were teaching me theory. They were saying, hey, this is what you should do, and this should help, and this. And I'm like, yeah, but you've never done it. You've never experienced it. You've never walked through it. And it was frustrating because I spent a lot of money on therapy and trying to be okay. But I was taking advice from people who had never experienced what I'd experienced. And I don't care how smart you think you are, until you have gone through it, you don't know. And those of you guys watching this who've never buried a child, you just don't know. And it's not your fault, you just don't know. But those of you who have buried a child, you have dealt with what I've gone through, you've done it your way, and your story is different than mine. But there's a level of once you walk down that path, you get it. You get it. No one else does. And that's what was interesting. So, and this also led to me feeling like I was inadequate, and there was a problem with me, and that I was wrong and I was evil. Right? It also led to a lot of anger and rage and frustration. And interestingly enough, the anger and the rage and frustration, I was angry at God for a long time too. But that, other than God, for a while, I was mad at myself. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get over this? My therapist is telling me I'm supposed to get over this. My therapist is saying, hey, try this, do this, try this, and nothing seems to work. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Am I just broken? I just must be broken. I mean, I'm unrepairable. And for many years, I lived an unrepairable life. Like, I lived a fraction of who I was because I had bought into the hook, line, and sinker this story that I was supposed to be okay and I wasn't okay, and I couldn't share and I couldn't talk. It was like this paradox. And I went to war to figure it out. That was really my journey, is to figure out I can't continue this way. Because in my heart of hearts, I knew who I was. I knew who I knew who I was on this planet. I knew what I was called to do. I knew I had a voice, and I knew my life meant something. And I knew that the way I was being wasn't going to get me there, and I didn't know how to do it. And so I went to war. It took me like a decade to figure this out. And I'm getting, I don't know if you can tell, the rain just decided to start raining on me. It's actually sunny right now, and it's raining. So I'm just going to weather the storm. It's just a little rain. Fortunately, living in Hawaii, rain is just rain. It's not. This rain is actually kind of cold. I was just going to say the rain's not cold. This rain is cold. I guess when it's December, like 22nd, I think today, the rain is cold. So rain is cold. It's fine though. It's like 72 degrees out. Sunny, as you can tell. I got sun glistening off of my forehead, and anyhow, it's like derailing me. It's raining pretty good now. I'm like, my mics are gonna get ruined. Oh well, we'll figure this out. It's gonna pass. It's gonna pass. You guys be here with me. We have the willpower. We're gonna make it through this. But anyhow, we're gonna wrap this up though, because I just want you guys to listening to this who are not okay. I want you to know it's okay to not be okay. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you, and there is no time frame at which you're supposed to be okay. I've learned a lot of techniques and a lot of things, and I've put some things together that help speed up the timeline. It took me a decade to get there. I've got people that can get there in a couple months now, to where they can stand up again, dealing with a horrific tragedy of burying a child, of standing there looking at their grave. Look, I mean, from every part of it. I mean, from picking out a little casket. I remember getting in the casket, and I was like, it was so surreal to me to be sit there in the funeral home, and I'm like, how on earth am I doing this? How am I choosing a color of my son's casket like this? How is this possible? How is this possibly a thing? Right? It just it's crazy. And even now to think about it, and to think that like I've gone down this process more than once, and it's just a wild ride. But this life is full of these emotions, and if you don't have the ability to share them and do something with it and articulate it, you're going to struggle. And you're going to struggle because the world is just doesn't get it. They don't understand. And unless your therapist has gone through it, they don't get it. They learned it from a book. Somebody taught them. But that's no different than teaching someone about sex and then having sex. Those are not the same thing. Learning about sex and having sex, there's a dramatic difference. Dramatic difference. This is the same, right? And honestly, in my opinion, it's even more dramatic of a difference. So it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have hard times. It's okay to sit where you're at right now. What's not okay is for you to pretend that you're okay. That's not okay. Because if you do that, that just means you're stuffing your emotions. And you're going to sedate it with alcohol. You're going to sedate it with pills. You're going to sedate it with work, with working out, with any form, food. Like, it doesn't matter. Anything you can find to suppress emotion, this is what you'll do. And you will end up a fractured version of you. And the gift that you have to give the world will never be given. So take a look at your game. Where do you need to just say, I'm not okay? And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's enough. For today, it's enough. All right? So find that thing. Declare it. Jump on social media and declare it. Call somebody and tell them you're not okay. Like just don't hold it in. So that's all I got for you. It's your boy, Trevor Dre White, reminding you that it's okay to not be okay. Have a good one, guys.